Recording started.
What's up, everybody? My name is Brandon McClinton, aka BMAX78. We're going to be going through episode 10 of Hell's Paradise and episode 10 of Demon Slayer. We have one more episode of Demon Slayer left. We'll get to that at the end, near the end of the show. But first, I will mention this: episode 7 of the Anime Dojo is on Spotify and on YouTube. I put that up today. Went up about 1 o'clock my time. That is where we recap episode 9 and 9 of both shows, but also we do a recap Akon. That was actually a really good conversation. I suggest you go listen to that. That was actually really fun to do because we did both go to Akon. You want to hear that conversation out fully. But also, all the other episodes are on Spotify, plus all the up through I think three or four on YouTube as well. So go check those out. But let's get to the business at hand. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy. How's everything going on your end?
Not too bad. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're talking for this opening bit, Get Up Hell's Paradise, episode 10. Me and Chris watched this earlier in the week, and we had a lot to talk about. We're going to go through it as we go along, but I'm going to warn you right now, and Chris will attest, this episode gives you a lot. Action, story, a lot of questions, and answers a bunch of things. I don't remember if Chris remembers this, but when we watched it the first time, he said his brain was fried at the end of it.
It was definitely fried.
If you don't remember what happened early in the season, this is where they're going to try to dump everything at you. I don't remember, Chris. Did they say we have 1 or 2 more episodes left?
I believe it may be 2.
2 episodes, so 11 and then 12. Okay. When we first watched it, what was your first thought?
How are they going to introduce so many elements before the end of the show?
Okay.
That was my question.
That was also my big thing, how you introduce all these elements at once. They do a very good job. I say we can't hold off anymore. I hope you have the episode up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into Hell's Paradise episode 10. I'll give the 3, 2, 1, and then we'll go. Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, then. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
You know, after watching this intro for so many times, it's eventually going to be their staple.
Yes, it will be. It'll probably just be the same for anything they make. They'll just put it on every show they make at the beginning.
You're right.
I will say one of the best intros in this season of anime.
Right. And I just noticed how you had been mentioning in our other shows how that was a red door from the beginning. I wonder why. I'm just not wondering why did they place his wife in front of a red door.
Yeah, I don't know. The episode's called Yin and Yang. And I will say pay very close attention to the dialogue in this because it gives you a lot of answers.
Yes.
By the way, this is a vision. This actually didn't happen, which I forgot the first time we watched it.
Right? Like they were having one of those mental battles.
Correct. I love the fact he had to change a tact. He was like, I'm about to pull my face mask up and we're to fight. Then he's thinking, wait, these are very strong people. I rather just play it safe and work together with them.
Exactly. That's sincere, humble,
Yep.
sincere, humble. Yeah. Yeah.
You call him a coward? He was gonna fight, but he also knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah, but he also said he's also not a coward for the same reason.
Yeah. I love the fact he's like, I don't want the pardon. I just want to become immortal.
Right, because it wouldn't matter then. If you become immortal, then it wouldn't matter.
No, it wouldn't matter. It'd just be like he could live forever. So I don't care.
Right. But it's important to when I can be immortal. Y'all can have me the world's most wanted man, which I can't kill.
But I love the fact that he says the purpose of being immortal so my family name can live forever. Basically, like saying his legacy will live forever.
Mm.
That's something you don't really hear much anymore from people. Like they want their legacy living forever nowadays.
Man, he's really changed since episode one.
Yes, he has. Because he started asking questions. But he was like, "Wait, sorry, or thank you for saving me," and like he just then says, "Hey, what's going on?"
Right. Said it last time, man. She like I would have seen the stuff that they tried to kill him in real
Yeah,
life. Good.
he's one track minded now.
Now I noticed something in this scene that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's sign language, but she's even though she can't properly say it, she's acting it out in the best way she can.
Yes, but he even says here it's like martial arts, doing the motions of like meditation, like martial arts. So it's like, uh, it's
Tai Chi.
interesting. Like, Tai Chi, where she's just moving her hand with the motion of saying strength, weakness, mind, body. I love that because she says, "Is there a hot teacher that can explain this to me?" And then they show the blind dude. I'm like, wait, they
Right,
do
and
that?
what is he doing?
Yeah, they do it on purpose. I will say right now, pay very close attention to this scene because they do something very cool and very interesting that you would never normally see.
Agreed. So, Brandon, do you remember that conversation I had with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
About my theory?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that theory while you listen to this.
I'm gonna warn everybody now. There's a lot of cutting in this, so pay very close attention. They do it very. And this is where it gets kind of cool. He goes, I'm going to teach you how to use a sword without teaching you. And she's kind of just like, what the world?
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I was say, pick it up Phil faster. He's doing this for a reason.
Right. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn on the battlefield. He is arguably one of the strongest characters we've seen so far.
Correct. And we've seen that before when they showed the flashback of him breaking that ceiling basically with one slash.
Yeah.
Actually, they said an interesting line there, which I forgot the first time. They go, once we kill a human, the towel, when you throw them in the pit, the towel gets absorbed into the island. So the more humans they destroy, the more towel they get. Energy.
Yep. Which is why they're probably able to drink it like tea every morning, huh?
Correct.
He pulled their hand from directly from the pit.
Mm-hmm. And he even says, "Go back into the hole and become Tao."
Yeah, see, I feel pretty messed up about that.
That is pretty messed up. Wait, you say
He literally summons those things.
yes, but he goes. He's like, "I came here for peace." What? You came here for peace,
No,
but yet you told him to jump back in the hole and let him get consumed to become Tao. What the like?
exactly. That's not peace.
That's not peace. Jeez, that is a savage. Like, just hand to the neck, and he dead.
Man, I'm telling you, bro, they ain't been out the pit more than 5 minutes, and already you like you did again. Oh,
All right, let's get into this.
I bet you next episode they'll put them back in the pit.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. This episode pretty much kicks off where we leave off. They did the Demon Slayer thing of this because I don't think Hell's Paradise has done it yet where it kicks off where we left off. Right where we left off normally. I think it's one other episode that does this. So we kick off where we left off. We see Gabimaru, Mai, and the two guys standing against each other. The thing I love about this scene, and I said in the beginning, I forgot they're doing a mental like fight in their brain. I thought it was actually a fight. No, they're just thinking about attacking each other. And I love how the samurai dude goes, no, you ain't gonna fight. And then on top of that, Gabimaru was like, "Oh, I'm ready to fight. I'm gonna put my mask up and we're going." But then he thinks about the flashback with the Tencent. He's like, "I'm too injured. I can't fight. So I'm just gonna humble myself and ask for a truce." What did you think about that beginning opening?
Man, that was wild because I was really expecting a fight. Like,
yes, so was I.
felt like he was gonna be like some kind of boss. So now that you finally meet him, and it's like, you know what, nah, I need you as an ally more than I need you as an enemy. So
Then from there, we go into this. Then from there, we go into the scene where we find out Gabimaru turns around, sees the young girl, who's not a young girl anymore. She's about an adolescent, teenager age girl. And we're just kind of, Gabimaru's like, how did she was just a young girl a couple moments ago. What happened? And I love the line the guy with the hand that got chopped up says. He's like, the female, he goes, it's a mystery it's a mystery. There's a mystery about females. I'm just like, wait. Like that makes sense, but that doesn't make sense in this context. Like it's
like, you know, it's like it's one of those conversations we need to put a pin in. Like, you know what, nah, we need to come back to that at a later date, possibly with a lawyer.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But so then Gabimaru rushes to her, sees if she's okay. You know, starts asking questions. But he's like, wait, I'm sorry. Thank you he gets up, bows, thank you for saving me, and then asks his questions. Then we go to the cut we cut from this to all the other members of his party before he actually broke away from them, starting their conversation. And this is where the episode gets good because you have the guy with the glasses go, the guy with the glasses goes, wait, the tree thing. So what you told us, if this is true, he said he asked about something. I forget what he exactly asked. But he asked is, so is this true about the island? He says yes. So if this is true, something's wrong. And then the samurai girl goes like, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with this. And he goes through this long-winded diatribe, and I won't explain it all because there's a lot in there. But the bandit's basic premise is he goes, there's something off about this island because there's too many religions mixed up on this island, and it makes no sense. So, Chris, I'm going to go back to something we talked about when we first time around, and you can do the long version, you can do the short version, you can go however long you want. I'll let you go for this. He said there's too many religions on this island. Why? This makes no sense. Why would you put all these different religions together and none of them have any connection to each other? But they flash back to the house. And they flash back to the house because you see the yin and yang symbol next to, I think that's a dream catcher or like some kind of like the red looking thing. It's like a dream catcher or something symbol. So
Right.
I thought this was interesting because he goes, nobody in their right mind would try to overthrow another religion by making their own. And a guy tried, and it didn't, and it kind of worked, but didn't really work. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think about this part where he just goes on this diatribe? Because what you had told me when we first watched it was amazing. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, I'm gonna keep it very simple in this aspect. You know, when you look at religion as a whole, a lot of it has some of the same aspects in our religions, and it's fascinating that some of these religions never really met throughout time. So how would they have some of the same teachings and the same things in their books and their holy scribes and everything? So we'll leave it at that, and we'll put a pin in that for a different kind of conversation. However, but that's what I'm saying. But however, it's when you focus on this story and how they're trying to get into it, I'm saying you still have to take a look back in the book of Divine Comedy. Like I can almost swear this whole series is Dante Alighiero. I mean, yeah, I'll keep it at that.
Okay. So then we go from that conversation to one of, I don't know if you're gonna say this. This is one of the best scenes in the entire episode. Or sequences, I say scenes. We go from the master.
Yeah.
We go from the former master of the guy that passed away in the previous episode, protecting him, and the young girl. This whole section, from this to the end, is amazing. So we start out. She goes, "You need to train me. You need to train me. I want to learn better how to with the sword." And he's like, "I cannot train you. If I train you, I lose you. I would feel terrible." Which I get. He lost one of his former students. I get that. But then he's also like, "But you're my master." And he's like, "I reiterate this. I'm not your master. I didn't teach you a thing." But this all kicks off with her charging out with the sword. He lifts his sword up from his little belt, lifts it up. She knocks the sword out of her hand. It flips in the air, and he's just like moves her head to the side, falls back in the sheath. Oh, this is gonna get good. And from that point on, you're like, oh wow, this got very good. So then from there he goes, there's two things. There's rage, full on rage, and then there's calm. And there's a middle. And you said in the episode, you said, listen to this part. There's physical capability, but there's also mental capability and spiritual capability. And I love this because he goes, when you're when they're both at balance, you're at a middle point, the middle point or the middle way. But if you're too far one way or the other, it's gonna be too hard for you. So you want to simultaneously be in the middle. I love this because then he goes, you know what though? I really haven't figured anything else out because there's a power here that's just around these plants and animals that I can feel and touch, but I don't know what's about. So he knows about the towel, but he doesn't know what the towel is. Uh, I will say this.
Oh, you want me to?
I'll say this. I'll ask you this question before
ahead.
From that point, what did you think about that? Because then this starts just a back and forth conversation with all these different groups about what's going on, and it gets really interesting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing to point out about this conversation is that when you look at the episode in its entirety, they're showing you different forms of mental and spiritual combat throughout
Correct.
this entire episode. From the beginning, when they have the mental fight, to them explaining what time is, all the way to seeing how it was produced, and how it can be used for your advantage and for your disadvantage. This was the layout for the whole episode. I think so.
Oh, very much so. Because so then, which I love this whole section now, where he goes, I can't teach you, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So then he just says, grip your sword tight, do this, do that, and she's confused. She's like, wait, he said he wasn't going to teach me, but yet he's teaching me. Why? And me and you are both like, well, you're doing it. Listen, like, don't question. Don't question it. Like, just do it. And she just starts. Yes, and she just starts doing it. And then from there, we get all these cuts, and I love the one cut I love because they go back to the young girl who's a teenager now. She just kind of does these motions with her hands like Tai Chi, talking about mind, body, strength, weakness. Basically, mind, body, and soul. And they're all leading to is dealing with the mind, your mental state, your body, and your soul. Like you say, physical, mental, spiritual. That's the big thing.
Should have had those things are split in three like every other religion.
Yes. Yes.
No comment.
No, we can't get that. We can't get in that deep with this because that would be maybe a little too much. But then we cut again. We cut back to the two brothers, and the two. Well, before we cut to the brothers, we cut back to the main trio with the tree, and the tree says, "It's simultaneous." Like he says, it's something simple, motion, and he says yin and yang. Basically, he's saying there's a good and a bad side to it. And he's like, the good side is using it for whatever you need it for. The bad is what they're using it for. And I love the girl says, I think the girl in the purple goes, so why did the Tencent do this? There's something not right about this. Because no God would do that to their people. She don't say the people, but she says no God would do this to his island. And the tree has no answer, and none of them do. But then she just jumps ahead and goes, "Well, that means Guy Mario's dead. He's done. He left us. He's tried to fight." And then I love when she says that. This monitor goes, "He's not dead. He had one reason to live, his beloved, and he's gonna live for his beloved." I love that because, like you said in the episode while we're watching, you say, if you've seen what this man has gone through, he's gonna live no matter what.
Because at first he didn't know what he was living for, And then
Nope.
once he realized why he was living, now he has a firm belief in why he's living. So he's
Correct.
already kind of immortal, like a Tenth in his own way. And I
Correct.
remember in the previous episode where the other Tension recognized him and said, you remind me of something, but I don't know.
So she had a vision of somebody that's been here before.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to continue with the
It's a lot of
play-by-play.
foreshadowing going on.
Yes, there is. A lot of foreshadowing. We're going to continue with the play-by-play in a second. Before we do that, I want to make sure to say this. Get Up Demon Slayer episode 10 right now as we're continuing this talk. We're at the back half of this episode finally now. Like I said, there's a lot in this episode. They packed it with about 10 different things, and they didn't mince one thing. They really just were on the ball.
Agreed.
So then we go back with the brother. So we go back to the two brothers. They finally get out of this pit. But before we see them get out of the pit, we see the two of the Tensen talking. And they say a line that I missed the first time. They go, the towel can be, the people who are thrown in the pit become towel. The towel, the towel's energy will be flowing through the island. So the more people they get, the more towel they get. Basically saying all the people that came before got thrown in the pit and didn't try to come out. And then she says that guy that got thrown in the pit is not going to survive. He can't climb out. And then the next scene, we literally see him climb out. So, what do you think about that? Because I love the fact they mentioned, oh, this is the people that are throwing in here is for energy purposes, not just because they just want to throw them in the pit.
If you asked me, it's something about. So I think we talked about this before. It's like, because he's gotten out the pit, he's had normal to human strength, and it kind of pointed out to me like maybe what is he, and they even mentioned before, he's eating the flesh, he's drinking the blood of all of these things.
Correct.
Is it possible that some of the pond is flowing into him?
Yes. Yeah. So then we cut to the two brothers. We cut back to the other trio, the other foursome, the two guys, Gabmore and the young girl. When the Gabmore and the young girl, they see all these monsters come up, and they're all about to attack him. Guy with the cut off hand, pretty much one fell swoop just cuts them all down. Doesn't care. But I love the thing they did. Gabmore hones in in the far distance, and see this dude just standing there. Doesn't say anything, just see this face mask. So we don't know who they are. We see the brothers, they climb out. The blonde-haired brother goes, I have a one-track mind now. I don't want to destroy them. I want to destroy them. I don't care. I'm going to destroy them. Then his other brother's like, we need to make a plan. No plan. I just want to destroy them. This is where it gives you the other half of the story. Because you see the guy walk up on them out of nowhere. And they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm sorry. I should have introduced myself. I'm Adachi. And they're like, Adachi? And they're like, I work for the Tencent. I work in the palace. The red door we saw, basically. That must be the palace. Or the entrance to the palace. The other monster y'all fighting, they're called Soshis. They're not smart. They're just kind of mindless. They have a one-track mind, basically. But then the yellow hair guy just attacks without question. And then the guy's like, well, I would have can't. Before he says this, he goes, if y'all can go back in that hole for me and just become Tao, that'd be great. But then the yellow guy's like, nope. But then he goes, well, we could have done this peacefully. I'm like, peacefully? You pretty much told him to go back in the hole to become Tao. What do you think about this dude? Because this dude seemed like, one, He just wanted to get the job done. But two, he didn't really care how he got it done. But also, he was like, "This guy's super strong. Why is he so strong?"
That's what I'm saying, man. If he was already eating the people, man, he probably got some of the energy.
Yes.
However, having that dude there to give him all the information was useful.
Yes, it was.
And then and it goes back to the beginning of what you were saying in the beginning of your conversation, how he was openly talking about his brother, that he didn't need a plan because he technically already had one. He noticed the energy and how they move and how they rebuild themselves. So this dude, so they're showing the character intellect in this same way too.
Yes, that was the thing. A lot of people thought, probably a lot of people thought the blonde hair dude was kind of just a mindless brute. No. This man has figured some stuff out, and now he's like, okay, I got this. Because he even says something really interesting at the beginning. He goes, "These tencents they're plant based, which we see, but also the Tao is in between their navel and they're growing, and they heal the slowest from the middle part of their body." So this man's been watching this when he's fought that one, so he understands. So then we have this little epic fight with this thing. All the while, the thing is pretty much dodging his attacks, doesn't care. He pretty much says, he goes, "Hey, his attacks he's still injured, but he's punching me so he's like attacking so much." But he also goes, his attacks aren't doing nothing to me because I can regenerate with all the Tao I have. Pretty much saying that he basically has enough Tao to block a lot of these attacks. Then in one fell swoop, with no recollection, just take his hand, put it right through the dude's neck, and lays him out. And he probably thinks he's dead. But like you said, if he ate the flesh, he drank the blood, he's probably still alive.
But I do feel the need to point out again, they hadn't been out that hole long.
Maybe a couple minutes.
Had died last episode.
Yes, he did.
But here you are dead again. Like, come on, y'all.
One thing I will say, this show, Hell's Paradise, ain't afraid to show characters dying and coming back.
Nope.
They pretty much said, we'll kill off your favorite characters. We don't care.
Any character you thought you liked, okay.
Yep. So before I ask my question, I'm asking you, what's the biggest takeaway from the whole episode? And then, what would you give this episode? However you want to answer those.
Biggest takeaway is pay attention and read your books. This is one of those episodes that can easily transverse to real life if you understand what's going on. So therefore, I feel really compelled to give this episode a 9.8.
Oh,
this was a really good episode.
I tend to agree with you. A 9.8. And then my last question before getting to Demon Slayer, what would you want to see from the next episode? Because either they're going to tease us by showing him at the beginning, or what I could see them absolutely doing, or showing us another group and then coming back to him minutes later.
I have to say it's really hard making a prediction at this point, only because we're so close to the end.
Yes,
and I feel like at the very last episode, there's going to be a huge twist.
Yes, there is.
And that twist is going to be, cliffhanger. So for right now, the things I would like to see, I want to see what's inside the palace. I don't know what episode that'll be, but I do want to know what's inside that palace.
We've only seen the little courtyard area from episode 8. But then that's because they're
The last thing I
talking.
want to see.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
was saying the last thing was I want to see the summer. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Um, I would have to give this episode. Yeah, I'm like you, 9.8. I think, yeah, this is pretty much a flawless episode. A lot of good action, a lot of good story. The way they did some of the action too rolls into the story. Uh, yeah, this was amazing. This was so much fun. I hate to say it. Switching gears, we're gonna go to Demon Slayer, who had another character based episode. My, you foot info table, stop doing this, please. You've already broke my heart. You've already broke my heart twice with characters having really weird backstories. This one broke my heart even more because it's Mitsuri, the love Hashira. My word, you gave her the probably
But
saddest
before we
backstory.
start, though,
Go ahead.
out of Ginya and the Hashira, who has the worst backstory?
Oh,
That's my question to you.
oh. So out of Ginya and the Miss Hashira, who has the worst backstory?
Yes.
That's a tough one because they're both kind of sad. But honestly, I think for me, it's gonna be the Miss Hashira because you lost your brother and the fact you pretty much lost your memory. And it took forever to
Okay,
get
so
your
that's
get you.
that's where we differ. I was gonna say I
What?
think that Ginya has the worst, only because he watched his mother die. He watched his mother be a demon, and he watched his mother be dead and disappear like a demon. Like as a kid, he didn't even fathom what was going on, but the
No,
fact that he saw it all.
no. And I agree with you. The only reason I say the Miss Hashira is for this only one reason. They could have literally got out of their situation, but his brother was being too stubborn, and his brother ended up. His brother was too stubborn to let them get out of the situation. At least with the Guinea one, his brother had to do the thing. His brother had to do the thing that Guinea probably couldn't do: kill that demon, which was their mother. And then, but then on top of that, with the Miss Hotcher one as well, at the end, you hear his brother say, and he pretty much praying to any being that will listen, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Protect my brother. Do what you ever have to.
Yeah,
Take
that was
me.
pretty.
Take me." So
That
that,
was cool.
like, he literally is begging the gods to take him and protect his brother. That would hit me home harder because you're just like, when somebody in your family pretty much thinks one way, but then eventually goes back the other way because you were the better brother or the better family member, that's tough. And they
Mhm.
and they admit they were wrong. Both stories are sad, don't get me wrong, but that hits home for a lot of people.
I agree that was tough. But the reason I brought that question, of course, before this episode, is because I realized if you think about it, they are the reverse of themselves. They are the yin and yang of this episode.
Correct. Correct. They are the yin and yang of
Okay,
each other.
I'm ready to.
Whew. Yep. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna give the 3, 2, 1. We're gonna hit the beginning of Demon Slayer episode 10. After that, we're gonna talk about something because we have one more episode left, and we're gonna talk about what they did for that. So that's gonna come at the end. So stay tuned for that. But Chris, you ready?
I'm ready, boss.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Man, she's flashy. I like the color popping for like sword and everything.
Yeah. They really do make good use of shadowing and colors on this.
Yes, they do.
Man, that rock intro goes so hard.
Uh-huh. The Love Hacha Mitsuri Kitsune.
It's funny, he basically called her a hoe.
That's what I thought. I'm like, when he said that the first time, I'm like, did he just call her like a? I'm like, wow.
Yep.
I'm surprised that when anime would do that. That's not something you would see.
Not at all.
Man, the light for that is amazing. My word.
Shout out to the artists. Y'all did that thing.
Yeah, they did. The lightning against the pink. My word.
I know the ballerina users got to be watching this like, whoa.
Yeah. How they mimic it that pretty much. That's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. He basically just did a Kamehameha through his mouth.
And then they call it a compressed sound wave.
Yep.
Do you realize that's like taking a jet engine to the ear?
Yep. That is harsh, my friend.
I mean, talk about verbal abuse.
He literally just said she couldn't. Wow. Really?
I'm sure all the Love Hot Shred fans are losing their mind when they saw that.
Here's the thing. I love the fact they do it, but you think about nowadays. How many people died? How many people dye their hair?
How many people are
Wow.
afraid to show who they are?
Correct. And yet, that's a normal thing nowadays.
Man, it's rough. You know, even though well, I'll wait to the end. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I think
It's amazing how people still hide themselves even in the world that we are today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm not talking about people who hide their sexuality and stuff. I think we're well past that. Even I'm talking about the people who are afraid to show their genius selves
Yeah.
because of how the world will view them.
Correct. Are they soccer or rice balls? I've never heard of that before.
I
It
don't know,
must be
but
a
I would
real.
try one.
I would try one. I know what rice balls are. I'm like soccer or rice balls. That sounds good, but I've never.
But that's for another thing to do when we go to Japan.
Yep. I love the fact they talk about the fact back then you left your home to become a wife or a husband. Nowadays, that's not a thing.
Nowadays, you stay home because you can't make no money.
Correct.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yep, we can't really get into because that's a long conversation. But she went so far to dye her hair and eat less as a person because she was worried about that. Almost starving herself. Oh. Wow, that was a big lightning bolt. I forgot how big that was.
Woo.
He almost ruined that forest.
Massive. And she blocked it.
Huh? And now you have a fight on your hands, my friend.
Right there.
This ain't over.
Like, it's go time.
The other Hashira.
He might have a crush on her.
Correct. They do.
Ooh. You know, bro,
What?
you really need to hear the bass on this episode.
I can hear it in the background a little bit, but yeah, it sounds punchy. Wearing headphones.
My subwoofer is going off.
Oh, I can believe it because this bass is not nothing to be. They did a good job with the sound direction.
Man, as a fellow musician, I salute that.
I love how he says that looks like the demon mark, which is the mark everybody gets after so long after becoming more powerful.
Right. Now, one thing she got is energy.
Oh yeah.
All that food she be eating.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, but it's gonna be a while before she run out of energy. And then all she gotta do is just eat again.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's a throw. This is a throwaway thing because a lot of people didn't see it the first time.
Yeah. Ooh. Love that color for some reason. Like a purplish.
Oh, the purple's red.
Ooh. Now I'm really curious why they give us this story about the demon.
Say that again.
The story, this little mini story that they give about this demon, it's really interesting.
Oh, yeah, it is. And that's a lie.
But what if it's not a lie?
Well, yeah, it was a lie. Sorry. And Gideon's like, you know what? Let's stop messing around.
He's like, bruh.
I'm literally just gonna chuck a tree at you.
Bruh, and I mean, like, he took the whole tree.
Roots and all. Didn't care.
He missed, though. Here come Nezuko, like, ooh. Man, how you end the episode with Nezuko for just finna go hand real quick?
I'll do a flip kick, like a flip dive to that thing. Yeah, no. That I will say
like because you know me right now, Nezuko is still my favorite female character.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This episode gives you 3 different things. And we'll go through them each by one, but I'll explain them all first, then we'll go through them. It gives you the Love Hush's backstory. It gives you the demon's backstory. Slight, not a full backstory, but a mini backstory to him. And then it gives you why Genya can do what Genya can do. They did this episode so much justice in the sense they gave you 3 different answers for 3 different things. One we didn't know yet, one we wanted to know about the Love Hostra, and then one about the demon they didn't really have to tell us, but they told us anyway. So my first question to you, Chris, what was the biggest takeaway from this episode for you?
Honestly, if I had to look past the actual story of the Love Hostra, because that was a great backstory, but the fact that we got 3, I just want to. My mind was somewhere else. But when you look at some of the stuff that Gee was doing, like this, and then they slipped and told you, well, maybe it was a slip, but they told you how he was getting that power. He was eating demons.
Yes.
And he was able to temporarily use his power.
Correct.
So it's like, how y'all just slipped that in there real quick? And like, hold up. Like, what kind of training did he do?
So it's a blink and miss it thing because literally it's at the middle of the like at the back end of the episode, and it's like Chandra goes, "Wait, isn't that hurt your teeth? Wait, isn't it destroy your stomach? Wait, how are you gonna be okay?" So Chandra's like, "There's no way you should be able to do this." And then you hear Genya say under his breath, like you say, he goes, "I can eat demons' flesh, and what I consume, I get a little bit of their power." Now, the one thing it doesn't tell you, but it does tell you in the manga and a couple other places, the higher the demon, the more power he gets. So he ate upper rank 4. So that's a good amount of power. That's why he can lift that tree out of its roots and throw it. That's why they flash back to when he stabbed. That's why he flashback when he stabs that one demon, and he can regenerate his body so well.
Does he use some of that demon's power? Wow.
Correct. But then the thing is, on top of that all, then you get the thing of like, wait, so if Genie can do this, like you say, where did he get it from? Why is it happening? How did he become to be able to do this? We don't get those answers, by the way. And I assume we're not going to get those answers. Because I don't think there's enough time.
Not right away, anyway.
Not right away. We might get it later down the road if they do it in the next arc. But then the other part of this story that really just hit home for me, they talk about the demon upper rank 4. They say that and you go to a flashback where he's lied a bunch. I think in the manga, in some of the side books, and some of the like side material, it does say at a certain point he lied so much he couldn't remember his actual real name and his real age. So tell me that's not of a thing of like a compulsive liar. That's an interesting character.
That's really interesting.
To the point where
That means you're living a lie without knowing that you're living a lie.
correct. To the point where you hear him say, I've never lied. Well, that's a lie. You have lied. Nobody ever gave me sympathy because you never gave people a reason to give you sympathy. And then on top of it all, he goes, Why are people so annoyed with me? Because what you've done in your past. From your human life to your demon life, what you've done. I love that story because it just kind of tells you.
I had never put that together.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't normally put it together because they say, because I think the couple episodes prior, it says like he's killed over like 200 people or something like that. But think about that. He's in his demon life, he's killed so many people. But in his real life, he messed with so many people in so many different ways through his lying. So it's like, you were just not a great person, living and demon. That's a really interesting backstory. And then on top of it all, you put a cherry on top of it all, and you go, you know what? We're gonna give you this Mitsuri backstory. My word, please. This is probably the third saddest backstory of the three, but this one hits home harder because it's like she couldn't be her real self. She was a very strong woman. She loved to eat. Who doesn't love to eat, by the way? Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
She has the colorful hair through, and actually, that's something they don't tell you. The reason she has the colorful hair that she does, the Sakari rice balls. She ate so many of them to the point her hair changed colors to the color of the rice balls. And that is actually in, I don't think it's in the manga proper, but it's in some of the side stories proper. They do mention that. But my big thing with this thing, yeah, a lot of like those little small details you don't see in the manga or the anime, but they do. You see them in other places, which actually I really appreciate if you do read the side books. That's where you get them. I wish they kind of put in the anime, but I know it's hard to explain that fully. But then a line she says, she's like, I couldn't be myself, so I had to change myself to try to get married. But her parents are like, you can stay with us forever. And you'll never have to get married. Because they love their daughter so much. And they love who she was. And you talked about people don't like seeing the real person. And I'm not going to go through the LGBT community stuff, but I will go through this. And you can test this, Chris. We just went to an anime convention 2 weeks ago from now. Anime is still a niche thing around the world for the most part. There's a few exceptions. Michael B. Jordan making his Genlock anime, talking about other animes and interviews and stuff. But overall, it's still pretty like a nerdy kind of thing to do and watch and read the mangas, all that kind of stuff. But yet, when you're a place like an anime convention or just a place where a group of people can talk and show off something, you feel at home. Wouldn't you say?
I would agree with that. You always feel comfortable around people who understand you.
Here's the thing nowadays. Here's the thing I'm going to bring up. Think about this. Demon Slayer has made so much money, has done so well, to the point where if you're not an anime fan, you've at least heard Demon Slayer. And you probably can, you know why? Because it got so much mainstream coverage after the movie came out, the Mugen Train movie. And people are like, what's this movie about? Why is it doing so well? And it's probably one of the most popular anime ever. And people start asking questions, wondering about more animes, different types, all that kind of stuff. The reason I bring this up, if you're into something, within reason, if you're into something, show it off. Don't beat somebody over the head with it, but be yourself. Enjoy what you like to do. If that's cooking, is that playing an instrument, is that being in a band, is that liking anime, whatever that is, be proud of that. Because that's what makes you you. And that's what they're telling through Mitsui's story. Because when you
agree with that.
When you yourself, you can still do great things.
Be unique if that's who you are.
Correct. The only other thing I'll bring up. So we end the episode. This is gonna be a little shorter because this one's more concise. It's actually really good. Demon Slayer do a very good job making their stuff concise, not all over the place. But I like the all over the place. I like the concise too. The last thing I want to bring up at the end, you see all of them save her. Then you see her say, "I'm going to protect all of you because y'all helped me," and she just goes ham. And here's the thing that I love the most. At the end, we see the rest of the team go find the little demon dude. And at the end, you see him throw the tree, and you see Nezuko about to kick the dude's head off. Now they're a full team. We're only missing one person, and that's the Miss Hachiru. Material. Once Key comes in, this fight is complete. This team's complete. Now we have a full fight. And also, the only thing we're missing is Tanjiro's new sword. Which brings me to my question. What would you give this show? And how much do you think Infotable has really thought about these characters? Because they look like they've thought about these characters through and through.
Oh man. In my personal opinion, the fact that they put so much into this episode, and yeah, and it's like, if I'm really just putting it bluntly, I'm saying everybody understand what you see isn't always what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That makes any sense to what I'm saying. Like if you're curious, the worst you can do is ask a question. And then the worst answer you can get is no.
Yeah.
So if that makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's something else that's bothering you. In this case, so the biggest takeaway in this episode is don't be afraid to be yourself, because that was the key thing in this episode, was because the love Hashira and her self-doubt, and also the abilities that Ginya showed. They all delved into those unique abilities that they have.
They did. And that's the biggest thing in this episode. They believing in yourself, showing off their abilities. And then the other thing, the other flip side of this, be a good person, and then you being a good person, you're gonna have more opportunity.
So I'll give this episode a 9.5.
Okay. All right. I would have to technically agree with you. I say 9.5, 9.6. Leading into this, I said that we're going to talk about something at the end. Well, Infotable and the people who made Demon Slayer announced last week, before this episode came out, I think it was that Saturday, on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your news, and even on the site we use for Anime Corner, which they haven't put any ratings up in the last couple of days. But we're getting a 70-minute final episode of this arc next Sunday. Which means with commercials, we're getting in a 55-minute episode most likely, so about a full hour. I don't know how they're going to end the series, or we can get a part 2. An hour's a long time. We might finish this fight and we might get to the end. I am so looking forward to that because the first part of this season, we got an hour long. We got a 45-minute episode. What are you looking for the most, Chris, in this last final episode?
I want a epic, and I do mean an epic fight scene. Because you've given us the story, you set it up perfectly, and then I feel like that was a foreshadow with the kick at the end. But at the same time, I want to see a major cliffhanger.
Okay.
Because I don't remember there being a major cliffhanger at the end of the other seasons.
In the sense of a cliffhanger, what would you want that cliffhanger to be? Because, and I'm not spoiling this for anybody, because the last arc of this series is the Infinity Castle. Because I think either you tease Muzan is pissed, he finds out all his top 2 of his top 5 demons are dead, or you see the Demon Slayer Corps be so excited that they got these 2 demons, and then they have to prepare for their final battle. What's going to be more impactful is my question. You still there?
Yeah, my audio clicked out for a second.
Oh, no worries. Did you hear the question, or do you want to repeat it?
No, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's going to be more impactful? Because I can see it going one of two ways for a cliffhanger. One, we see Muzan pissed that is 2 of his upper rank demons, 2 more of his upper rank demons died. Or we see Demon Slayer Corps excited and preparing for the final battle. Which one's going to be more impactful to end the season off and probably tease us for the last arc of this season, which will be the Infinity Castle?
Well, if the next season is the last arc, then the most impactful thing would probably be to see Muzan is pissed. Like he literally starts to show a little bit of his true form.
Yes, I could see him showing his true form. And you know the funny thing? With this battle now, we see in the opening credits, this battle is going to morning. We don't know timing-wise what the time is right now. So if we're going till morning, how are we going to keep this battle going and keep the action up, but also keep the storytelling up? Because this is all just a fight now. There's nothing else left except for the Miss Hofstra coming to their aid. What do you think they have to do to balance that out?
Okay, so check me out. I think it's going to go something like this. The first maybe 30 minutes of it is going to be them actually killing a dude. Like, they going to kill him before sunrise. And now, whether Tanjiro gets his sword, that's still up in the air. The rest of those souls is going to be kind of like a resolve. Like, it's the 30, so the next 25, 15 to 25 minutes is going to be like, how they trying to resolve everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 5 to 10 minutes is going to be straight up like, okay, this is what's to come.
Okay. I could see that. I have never been so excited for a final episode. This season, we haven't seen the final episode yet, so we're gonna. I think we'll save the actual. What do you think of the season after you see the final episode? But this season so far has gave us storytelling, good action, good like visuals, sound direction, all of it. And I still think it's funny people say Demon Slayer is mid. If you think Demon Slayer is mid, you need to open your eyes because yes, this might be the simplest story in anime, simplest shonen in ever. But at least it tells you a good story. Some animes can give you good action, give you good colors, give you good lighting. Some animes can give you good storytelling and give you no action. But this gives you all three. And this does it in a way that makes it fun and you care about the characters.
Agreed.
So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a little bit longer of an episode. So we'll probably start a little bit earlier. I will post when we start, tweet out whatever I have to do for that. And then we're going into it. We're gonna start with Hell's Paradise, episode 11. I think we get one more episode, like Chris said, to episode 12. And then we finish with the hour-long or 70-minute-long final episode of Demon Slayer. I hope you enjoyed this ride going through this anime this season with us. We still gonna have another episode of Hell's Paradise at the end, so we'll do another podcast for that. I hope you're looking forward to the summer season because me and Chris will probably find another anime and keep continuing this. But I do think for everybody who's listened, who's watched on the YouTube channel, I don't know how Chris feels, but I'm looking forward to this ending and see where Demon Slayer ends up.
Oh, bro, I'm excited. I'm jittery just thinking about it.
Because now, I'll use a sports analogy. We were at the beginning of the season. We're in the first couple innings. We're in the first third. In the middle of the season, we're in the middle third. In the back half now, we're in the back third. Now, at this last episode, we're in the ninth inning with 2 outs. Runners on base. Somebody comes to bat. We get to see the climax of the story. And it's probably going to be a home run. So I'm looking forward to that. But like I said, I do thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy.
I'm sorry, I was making it epic.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I do thank y'all for watching. I do thank y'all for listening. I hope you did enjoy. We will see you next Tuesday for episode 10 or episode 9 of the Anime Dojo. The final episode of Demon Slayer and episode 11 of Hell's Paradise. I will say this. If you haven't watched these shows yet, I implore you to watch both of these shows. They're a very good time, and they'll make you think. That's all I'm going to say. I'll be from you next time. See ya.
Yeah.